Welcome, dear friends. In an attempt to find out the details of the epidemiological research methods, we had started this journey by knowing different terms in epidemiology. Then we immediately came to the point that we need to make the observations. The observations are the real teachers, and observations can be divided into two parts. One is known as descriptive epidemiology, and another one is known as analytical epidemiology. Then, first of all, please recall that we had decided that which population we want to study. For an example, if we want to study hypertension in Ahmedabad, we need to identify which particular methodology will be adopted, who will be selected, whether one ward or entire city of Ahmedabad will be taken, and so on and so forth. Which population? Or would we like to go only for the old people for the hypertension measurement? Whatever we want to do, the population to be studied has to be decided. That's one thing. Second, what we want to examine, only systolic blood pressure or systolic and diastolic blood pressure in the morning hours, whatever it is. But the condition or the disease which we want to study has also to be defined. Population to be defined, condition to be defined. Then once it is certain that I want to study this particular condition, this particular disease, this particular situation, this particular health status in so and so population, so and so group of the population, once this is done, we will study in importance three major factors. One, we will study the time of that occurrence, then place of the occurrence, and person of the occurrence. We gave the details of all these things. What is the importance of the time? What should be the different factors related to place? What should be the different variables to be studied in the person? That has been detailed by last lecture. Now we move little ahead in the descriptive epidemiology because it is the simplest one, and we need to know that how we go ahead with that. Once we have decided the time, place, and person, some data we have that can be analyzed, that can be tabulated, charts can be prepared, calculations can be done. At least the mortality should be identified. What is the mortality? Because that's very important measure. If the persons die because of that particular condition, that's important. Two, if in mortality we want to identify the age specific, cause specific mortality or case fatality rate, we should be clear about that. Once we decide, we should calculate that. Then morbidity should be identified. Morbidity, we learned two terms, incidence and prevalence. Incidence is the new cases occurring in the community. Prevalence, the cases which are already prevalent in the community, already present in the community. Now, if we want to study the prevalence, the better method is cross-sectional study. Cross-section is like a cut section of a pillar. In biology, particularly in the botany, we were taking cut sections of the plant that showed us the horizontal section details. Even our spinal cord, we were used to take the cut section. Similarly, in the community, at a given point of time, if we try to identify for a particular condition, what are the numbers of so and so condition? For example, in Palanpur, how many cases of diabetes mellitus? During the month of, suppose this is May, April, we start on the 1st of May and by 7th of May we complete our study and say that in May we identified in Palanpur 500 cases of diabetes mellitus were identified. This is known as prevalence, and the study is known as a cross-sectional study. Again, cross-sectional study does not mean that you should go to one particular mohalla or a society and study the case. No. If you have decided to study Palanpur, the 500% should come from the entire population of the Palanpur. Even if you don't study the entire population, study all the areas of the Palanpur, have some sample from each area, and should be sure that all these persons represent actually the city of Palanpur. So that sampling should be large enough, should be preferably randomized and scientifically taken. This will give you a cross-sectional impression or observation, which allows you to collect the host factors. Whenever you go to the family, you will collect the age, sex, occupation, education, all those factors, and you will be able to identify that yes, diabetes mellitus was present in this particular group of, say, sedentary life or highly educated people, whatever it is. So that can be based on their host factors collected by you during the study. And you should also be keeping in your mind that the factors which I collect or I get the interrogation about, I should be able to prevent them. I should be able to give some health education about that. Then only such information should be collected. So cross-section study does not give us a causal relationship. We cannot say that because 500 persons are present in Palanpur, we do not know what is the etiology of diabetes mellitus. But yes, we may have some idea that more people were obese, more people were old persons, whatever is there. But that idea is not a cause. For cause, you need to do another study. But you have some basic information on which you can perhaps say that yes, this is possible. The possibility can be that the causal relationship cannot be established. And similarly, how that diabetes started, how it will happen in the future, that continuity will not be there because it is a cross section. And that's why you cannot establish the natural history of the disease. That's not possible in a cross sectional study. It has limitation, but it is very easy to do. At any given point of time, some volunteers can go to the community and find out the condition who are affected with. Then, the second type is a longitudinal study, where you go to the same community several times, say once in May, June, July, or for several years. We do not know. It depends upon the study which you have time and resources. If you go frequently, you will be able to say that this was the past, this is the present, and this was the future. So some link related to the natural history of the disease will be possible. Number one. To some new cases will also be identified during the study. That is incidence. So for finding out the incidence, what you should do? Longitudinal study, not a cross-sectional study. But for prevalence, cross-sectional study. So incidence is also identified, natural history of the disease can be identified, and maybe you are possibly identifying some risk factors. Yes, this happened, and that's why the disease took place or the disease worsened, because you are observing for a good number of days or good number of periods, times, intervals, frequency. This gives you better idea compared to the cross sectional. Are you very clear? But when you do this longitudinal study, it is time consuming, it requires resources, and it is a bit difficult compared to the cross sectional study. That's why most of the times people go with the cross sectional study, and longitudinal study is still better. But both these studies, what do they provide? They provide some guesswork. Yes, this is possible, or this is what I have observed. Once you have done that, you need to compare your data, your findings with some other population. Your measurements of mortality, morbidity with some other. Say Palanpur may be compared with Ahmedabad, or Palanpur can be compared with Rajkot, or if you wish so, with other country also. This comparison will give you an idea that the difference between the two localities also leads to some difference in the occurrence of the disease. And that may be perhaps leading you to a possibility of some reason to be identified there. That's why try to compare. And based on those comparisons and data, you try to formulate a hypothesis. Hypothesis is a supposition. You are supposing, you are just trying to think about that. It's not a definite decision. Formulating a hypothesis is an art. So what you do, number one, you can clearly write that for whom you have done the study, say for the population of Palanpur, in the old people who were beyond 60 years plus. Okay, then you can also write what was the expected outcome. We wanted to identify the diabetes mellitus. We did the urine sugar or blood sugar test or glucose tolerance test, whatever you have done. With that method, you have tried to identify the cases. So, what was the expected outcome? And third one, what is observed? Naturally, you have lot many data. And during this period, we had observed at this particular place these many persons with different variables like age factor, sex factor, occupational category, educational category, and so on. So that description will be available. These three questions will be given given the answer. Now you try to think on that. Now, what is the dose response relationship? For example, you identified that old people have the diabetes. So was it that older the person, more the diabetes cases? Or was it the younger the person, more the cases of accidents? Whatever study you have done based on the study of the accidents. Suppose you are taking up the hypertension. Was it that the hypertension was more with the office going persons? So dose response, more the sedentary life, more the diabetes. Was it so? You would try to establish it. Two, time response. As the time goes on, a person who is working very hard for many, many hours, is it fatigue? Is he fatigued? If it is so, there is a time response relationship. A person who consumes more tobacco is more likely to have the cancer of the mouth. Okay. So this association, this relationship should be established. More the relationship, more the possibility of the disease, or more the time spent with that particular exposure or particular risk factor, more the possibility of the disease. This should be leading to formulate a hypothesis. And once it is done, you clearly write down that factor A, if taken to the extent of factor B, say factor A, say tobacco, if taken for 6 years or 10 years, leads to factor C, C means condition like say mouth cancer, and after duration D, say after 5 years or after 10 years, whatever it is. Such a statement is nothing but a hypothesis. You have observed and you are supposing based on that. This is not the proof. And this provides a plan to act upon. Suppose a health authority wants to act upon. They will act upon all those persons who are chewing tobacco. They will come to the people who are more identified in the young group or age old group based upon your study results. So this is possibility that we can act on the ingredient like tobacco. We can act on the persons who are having difficulty in opening the mouth. We can act upon the persons who are still fresh persons to take the tobacco or who have been taking for a long time, and so on and so forth. But in descriptive epidemiology, now you must have realized that it leads to understand as the magnitude of the load, disease load. What we understand is the how many persons at what given point of time and where. It provides morbidity, mortality data also that we have talked about. May provide some clue to the disease and the cause and helps us to generate a hypothesis. Lastly, we talked about the same and helps us to start some control measures based on this hypothesis, not the reality. It is not a cause factor, please remember. But if you want to go for the cause factor, there are several studies and we need to launch those studies later on. But remember, based on the descriptive epidemiology, based on the case control study, based on the longitudinal study, you can immediately start taking action because you have some idea. And the idea does not prevent you from taking the action. If I know that the cases are increasing in so and so ward of Palanpur, I should start taking action. Suppose the cases are that of malaria, anti-malarial action should be started. And then for finding out the exact cause, why malaria is spreading more, what are the reasons, we can go into the detailed study. Such a study would lead us to the possibility of an analytic study. Okay, so I hope that you will read further about a descriptive study and those particular cross-sectional study, longitudinal study, time, place, and person factors. Once you read it, you will understand that okay, these all things are very essential, very simple, can be done by anybody. But for further study, we need to have analytical study. Now, what is the difference between these two studies, descriptive studies and analytic study? Specifically, descriptive studies are related to population. We are going to large number of people, finding out the factors, looks at the population. And what we do, we formulate the hypothesis. But in analytic study, we are not formulating either. We are testing the hypothesis. And we are testing the hypothesis on individuals. That's very important. And we will go into details of the case control study and cohort study once we start talking about analytic study in the next session.